We're thinking about Christmas today on Pots and Trowels, which is brought to you with Allett and Cobra Garden. And I've just picked these lovely berries out the garden. So I'm going to go off to the potting shed and show you how to make a lovely winter container. Well, Christmas is just around the corner now, and I always think it's nice to have a container on the patio or by the back door of the house with some lovely seasonal plants in it. Just looks nice all through the winter, but we can sort of jazz it up a little bit for Christmas. So what I thought I'd do today is just show you very quickly how to put together a container. It's really easy. I've got a few shrubs here from the local garden centre and nursery that I'm going to use, and it's a good way of buying things that you're intending to plant in the garden next year, so that these will then be recycled and they will last for years and years, which makes it really good value. So I thought we'd just have a quick look at the plants and then I'll show you how to put it together. So what we want are things that are hardy, because they've got to stand outside during the winter. And not only is this of course for Christmas, but it will look good all the way through January, February and March as well. So we're going to get quite a good time out of it. So you want things that are hardy and have got attractive foliage or berries or flowers on. So I've got this lovely little hebe here. This is a lovely hebe that's got really dark red or sort of purple growth on it. So that is just going to add some colour to it. There's no flower, but it's got really attractive foliage, and then that can go into the garden later on in the spring. This one here is one of my favourite winter shrubs. It's known as the Christmas box, its common name, but its real name is Sarcococca confusa, and it's got these lovely dark green glossy leaves for all year round. It's got flowers that open in February, and they're just starting to form. The little flower buds are just starting to form there on the underside of the branches. They will open and give a wonderful sweet scent off during February and March time. And then we've got the berries glistening there that were from last year's flowers. I'm also going to put into it a skimmia. This is a lovely skimmia there that's got these dark red flower buds on there, and they'll look good right the way through until spring when they open into little star-shaped flowers. Some ivy just to trail over the edge. Again, it's nice to disguise the edge of a container, and this is totally hardy. And of course, being as this is for Christmas, we've got to have in it a Christmas rose. Absolutely lovely this one is, and this one is actually called Christmas Carol, and it's got these lovely white flowers, and more importantly it's got loads of buds to come. So we're going to get weeks and weeks and weeks of flower out of this. So we can pop those out of the way. Now this is going to be a biggish container. Of course you don't have to use a big container. You could just use a pot and just put, you know, one shrub in it and a few little trailers around the edge, but I want to plant it into this. This is an old wooden crate, would have been a sort of an apple crate I think in its day, before plastic was invented, and what we've done is we've lined it, because there are gaps between the wooden slats, with this hanging basket liner. You can buy it, but of course you could use moss, you could use straw, you could even use a black polythene. You're not going to really see it. It's just to stop the compost spilling out. And then what I'm going to do is just put in the bottom, to stop the compost going, just an old compost bag, and I'm just going to fit that into there like that. You could puncture some holes through that if you wanted to, so the water will drain through, but it's mainly to hold in the compost. And I've cheated in true Blue Peter fashion. I've already decorated the front with a little bow and a few fir cones there, just to make it feel a little bit more festive. So two ways that we can plant this up. One is we could completely fill it with compost, and then we could take all the plants out of the pot and plant them traditionally into the compost. But as I'm intending to take these plants out of this crate container in spring and use them in the garden or for other things, I'm going to leave them in the pot. So what I'm going to do is to plunge them into the compost, so that it gives them a little bit of protection and insulates them, but it means they won't root out into it, so it's just good. So I'm just using a compost here, so I'm just going to tip some of this. It could be old compost that you've used to grow tomatoes and other things in if you wanted to. So it doesn't have to be new compost. And now the rustling noise has finished. I do apologise for that. what we can do is to start and plant, or plunge them into this compost. So I'm going to start with this lovely sarcococca at the back. This is my main plant. So I'm just going to scrape the compost. So I am essentially planting them, I'm just leaving them in the pots. So that's going to be my centerpiece at the back, like that. And then I'm going to use this lovely skimmier. These are really, really good. Just take the label out, and that is going to go in also at the back. So we're just trying to sort of contrast the colours, get the height of the back and let it cascade down to the front like that. And then I want something darker on this side to balance. So I'm going to use this little Hebe that I talked about. It's a lovely colour. This one really does glisten when it's in the garden. So I'm just going to sit that into there. I just need a little bit more compost for the smaller pots at the front. So just top it up like that. So it's really easy to do. And the great thing about this is, just get the compost off my bow. You can play around with it. If you're not happy, you just move them around a little bit. I'm also going to put in a rosemary. Now rosemary, yes, it's not really Christmas, but rosemary is always the plant for remembrance. So it's just nice to put one of those in to think about people that aren't with us at Christmas, loved ones in there like that. And then I'm going to put a couple of trailing ivies over the edge. So just nestle those down into that compost. Now I can't see what this is looking like, of course, because I'm working at it from behind, but hopefully it's starting to fill out. And then another ivy just in there, and we can just sort of take that piece there and just trail it across, sort of like a swag across my little bow like that. And then what else have we got? Got two little berrying plants just here. This is Gaultheria. So it's a little ground cover plant that scrambles along the ground, ideal in woodland gardens or where the soil's a bit damp or acid, and they just give a little bit of a red berry at the front. So I'm just going to nestle one in there, and then another one at the other side. And then finally, my last plant to go in is a centerpiece there, is going to be this lovely white Christmas rose. So that will go in there, and then you can of course fill in with a bit more compost just to stop the pots moving around, but basically that's it. It's as simple as that. So that is your winter container. You would just water them in the normal way. They don't need too much water over winter, but we mustn't let them dry out completely, otherwise the leaves will sort of start to fall off. So we just need to give them a bit of water now and again. But to really jazz this up for Christmas, I thought what we could do is we could put some stems in, and I've cut these off a cotoneaster in the garden. So I'm just going to push in a few stems of cotoneaster, because these will really look good over the festive period. The lovely berries, these can stay in, and I notice if you do leave them in, you'll often find the blackbirds will come and have a little feast on them as well. So we're just going to push a few of those stems in all around. You'll obviously take your time and do this excuse me, properly. Just push them in like that, and then we need a few little bits sort of down at the front, and these will last, even though these are cut rather than on roots, they will still last for ages and ages like this, because it's cold outside, and that they'll stay on there. Be perfect. Absolutely great for just adding that little bit of colour. Maybe we've got a little bit more just there. So that's just giving it the nice sort of Christmas berry effect. And then finally, well not finally, I've got some stems. These are dogwood stems cut out of the garden. We've got the purple ones there, the dark red ones, and these lovely orange ones, which is midwinter fire. And again, I'm just going to push these into little groups throughout, because it just gives it that vertical element. So just push them in. It's a little bit like flower arranging once we get to this part of it. So we're just going to push those in there, and then I'll put a few in at this side. So these are going down into the compost, either in the pot or in the compost between them. So you can put as many or as few of those in as you want to, maybe just a couple more. Let's make it look nice and full. When you're planting these in the garden, they want to be in groups. So if you're using them like this, we want them to look natural as if it's a plant growing there. And then I'm just going to put a few of these lovely orangey ones in, just in here as well. So that will just brighten up that centre just a little bit. Put one in there. So there we have it, a very, very simple container. I've put it together very quickly, but if you spend a little bit more time, you can really get the effect that you want. And then what I'm going to do, just because it's beginning to look a bit like Christmas, I've got some pine cones here. I'm just going to pop round the front because I want to see what it looks like myself. And I'm just going to push in some little pine cones that we've got on sticks. Oh, aren't they lovely? It does look Christmassy now, doesn't it? I think I've sorted out Jules' Christmas present. Push those in like that. Can't find a hole, got so much in it. There we go. And that one down there. And okay, you can trim them to length if they're a little bit long, but you get the idea of it, don't you? So we've got a lovely mixture there of winter foliage, stems, we've got berries, we've got pine cones, we've got ribbons. It says Christmas, doesn't it? And that would make an ideal Christmas present, as well as looking good on your doorstep. I think if you were to make a gift like that for somebody that you love, a special person in your life, and you were to present them with that, I think they would be absolutely delighted. Of course, lots of other gifts if you're still looking for something. If you go to our sponsors, Cobra or Darlac, on their website, they've got lots of tools and gardening equipment which would make excellent Christmas presents. And I've also got to mention our book, which we've mentioned before, Gardening on the Menu there. But I think that's going to look great. That's going to stand outside our back door over Christmas, and we can enjoy it then for months to come. Well, there you go. Hopefully by the back door that'll look lovely over Christmas. The next time I'm with you, it's going to be Christmas Eve. So while you're peeling your sprouts and having a glass of sherry in the kitchen, I'm going to be back in the potting shed answering your questions. So if you've got a question you'd like me to answer, just drop it on Facebook and I'll do my best to answer it for you. So we'll see you soon. Bye.